Kevin Zay, has the bite model ever been applied to the Freemasons? In your opinion, where do they fall on the scale as far as being a cult or a very highly controlled group? Hey, Kevin, thank you for this question. The Freemasons are probably one of the most conspired about, rumored about, misunderstood, grossly lied about organizations in history. We do love our conspiracies, and in history, there have been tons and tons of them related to or revolving around the Freemasons. And this is, of course, very connected with, goes all the way back to, the people who were figuring things out, building things, math, all this crazy stuff. And this developed into secret societies with ideologies, political affiliations, philosophical ideas, transcendence. I mean, you can find evidence of little groups or big groups through history that get involved in this stuff and want to talk about it. They find that it's not popular with the current political tides or religious influences in their society. They might not have been as free to discuss things or meet together or even assemble to discuss matters that the church might have found heretical, or which the local government or local administrators might have found threatening to their power. And so, they had to form up in these little secret groups. And then you get conspiracies about those groups and what are they really up to? What's going on, right? Well, you can imagine about 20 different reasons why, from jealousy to power to threat to, any other number of reasons, simple rabble-rousing, why people would make up stories about secret societies or just make up, ideas about why they exist and what they're up to. And of course, these groups can change and evolve and die off over the years, as we see, varying shades and flavors of this stuff occur, right? And I'm talking very broadly about this because I want to sort of give an appreciation for, time and tide in history and how there is no such thing as a static group, a group of people that maintain a core set of beliefs forever. That just doesn't happen. A group is a different group today than they were a year ago, a year before that, 50 years before that, radically different in some ways. And we have to appreciate that, because there is no Illuminati or secret core of people who have been secretly plotting things generationally, right, through the generations from father to son or passing down the lineage or whatever. It's just such nonsense. If you look around and watch how people act, they don't act that way. No one does, right? So how's this supposed to work? It's just a big fantasy. It's a story. It's a narrative. The whole Illuminati conspiracy Freemason crap, I'm just kind of throw a little bit of water on all this nonsense. Now, that all being said, right, I've actually met people who claim to be Freemasons, and they have informed me in no uncertain terms that there is nothing really weird or culty about it. It's just a bunch of guys getting together and chatting, or trying to help each other out, or trying to build each other up, or support one another. And there are also charitable organizations and groups affiliated with this. We see this with the Shriners, for example, and the children's hospitals. So maybe that's a front, maybe there is some secret cabal at the heart of the whole thing, but we don't really see any evidence of that. And so you can say or propagate any number of rumors or conspiracy theories, and they have. And there have been debunking done of this. For example, I think there's something called the Taxel or Leo Taxel papers or something. I didn't look deeply into this, but apparently this was rather seminal debunking of some deep conspiracy theory connected with the Illuminati and the Freemasons. Just the Freemasons. I don't know about the Illuminati connection on that one. Anyway, the conversations I've had with actual people really claiming to be Freemasons indicated to me that there isn't any real cultic activity going on there, but there is secrecy connected with it. There is a desire for privacy. And there really isn't anything inherently wrong with a desire for privacy. Every family wants privacy. Every company, every group has, the idea that we have boundaries. We have, the ability to draw those. And that's pretty much what's going on with the Freemasons, as far as I can tell. I did look through the literature, just a little bit. I didn't go deep diving on this, on like an international level. But I couldn't find evidence on Google Scholar or in my library databases that I looked at that a bite model has ever actually been analyzed against the Freemasons. There has been a lot of literature about the Freemasons, academic literature, studies, commentary on the conspiracies, the origins of the conspiracies, the history of the group, some of its practices even. You can find academic literature on some aspects of this. It's well written about, and all across the spectrum. It's written about from the deep conspiracy angle all the way to the, look, there's nothing, please move on. There's no situation here. But I haven't seen a bite model analysis done of it. And I suspect that if you were to do one, you would have to actually get pretty specific about which group of Freemasons you're talking about and at what time period. Because, like I said, these groups evolve and change over time and over geography. And you'll find the Freemasons in Britain, for example, might be a little different than the Freemasons in the United States. And perhaps in the United States, you'll find different chapters of this with their own local variations. I'd be very surprised if you didn't. But I can't speak intelligently about those variations or differences because I'm not familiar enough with the topic. So I know this is a bit of a broad shoot in answering your question, but I didn't want to just ignore it or say I didn't know anything because, I know some things about it. But I am not at all concerned about the Freemasons as a destructive cult or as some authoritarian group that is, manipulating and controlling its members. The number one thing that gives me that sort of, I kind of went, okay, I'm not going to get into this any more than this, is when I had the people who have talked to me about it and, in a real live conversation, as well as reading and studying on it, that one of the things about these high control destructive groups is that you can't leave. They're not down with you just stepping up and stepping out. At all. There's retention techniques. There's a lot of pressure applied to keep you on board. And there is none of that in the Freemasons. They'll let you in. You have to kind of push to get in. I think you have to be invited through one of their members. So you have to, already know somebody who knows somebody kind of thing. And, but you can leave anytime and there's no consequences. They're not going to stalk you. They're not going to follow you around. They're not going to, make your life difficult. And that is really one of the biggest check boxes of whether we're dealing with a destructive group or not is, what happens if you try to leave? And of course, if you try to leave the Mormons or the Jehovah's Witnesses or Scientology or Nexium or something, well, they're going to come after you. They're going to want to retain you. They don't want to lose you. They're desperate to hold on to you. And they're also desperate to keep you quiet about what you've seen, what you've heard, what you know. They don't want you blabbing around about Scientology's inner circle practices or abuses or any of that. And we don't see any evidence of that with the Freemasons. I was an ex-Freemason and they abused me. We don't see that. We don't see any indication of that. And there is no such thing as a group that is so hardcore and so good at what they do and so secure that there isn't eventually going to be a whistleblower. There's always whistleblowers coming out and speaking up about this stuff. People are just, they feel very passionately about that justice factor. And when they've been done wrong, they will move mountains to try to correct that wrong. And we don't see that with the Freemasons. At least I couldn't find a whole lot of evidence of it. So that's my take on it. I know some people out there are going to think I've had the blinders pulled over me. I'm just, just repeating their party lines, etc. And, okay, if you want to think that about me, go right ahead. I think I'm not Simple Simon that way. But whatever. That's my current take on it. And if I receive any information to make me think otherwise, you guys will be the first to know.